Hi there, how are you? Christy and Alonso and Ben, we've got some video on demand and streamable suggestions for you. There are so many, it's mind-boggling, but Alonso's gonna start with a couple of his favorites.
Well, actually, my first one is not streaming. You have to buy the physical Blu-ray. Wow. It may eventually be streaming, but yes, you will have to buy physical media for this. This is a film called Buddies. It is a 1985 film that I had never seen before this weekend. We just showed the 2K restoration at Outfest that Vinegar Syndrome is now putting out on Blu-ray. It is the first narrative feature about AIDS. It came out in 1985. Apparently, it premiered at the Frameline Festival in San Francisco 4 days before Ronald Reagan used the word AIDS in public for the first time. Wow. So that's how early we're talking. Director Arthur J. Bresson Jr., who is, he made documentaries and porn, like he had a really fascinating career. This is kind of what they call a two-hander. There is a character who is volunteering to be an AIDS buddy and the person to whom he is assigned, and obviously they change each other's lives and learn a lot about each other, and it's super moving and a fascinating sort of snapshot at like New York in 1985 and queer life in general in 1985, but also really moving. And I mean, just the opening credits, I was already kind of moved to tears because it's just this dot matrix printer spitting out line after line of people's names and deceased AIDS. And it's just, it's one of those movies where I kind of went in thinking, oh, well, this will be an interesting time capsule or whatever. But in addition to that, it's actually a really good movie. And I'd always heard of it. I'd never had a chance to see it. It's been hard to find for a long time, but now there is this new Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome. So I highly recommend you pick up Buddies. It is an integral film in LGBT cinema history. And then my other choice is also queer flavored. It is Hannah Gadsby's special Nanette that is now running on Netflix. It starts out like stand-up comedy, but then it kind of becomes sort of lesbian monologue theater in a really powerful way. But the stand-up is really funny and the theater is really moving, and she dovetails the two really brilliantly. I had never heard of Hannah Gadsby before. She's apparently quite popular in her native Australia. I think a lot of Americans are seeing her for the first time in this Netflix special, and it is an extraordinary piece of work. Her performance is fantastic. I highly recommend you check out Nanette from Hannah Gadsby.
Yeah, I had not heard of her either, and then when this premiered on Netflix, like my entire Twitter feed was just, good Lord, go see Nanette now.
Yeah.
So.
Have you seen it yet?
No. I need to.
No, I'll
Please
check it out. I'll check it out. My choice is from Filmstruck, the exclusive streaming home of the best films from Hollywood's golden age.
And the Criterion Channel.
So this is The Breaking Point from 1950, the penultimate film for John Garfield, who was soon to be blacklisted and then died at 39 of a heart attack, and really would have been, through the 50s, one of the great Hollywood stars. And this is a terrific story. This is sort of the second adaptation of Hemingway's To Have and Have Not. This is much closer to the book than the Bogey Bacall movie, and it stars Garfield. He's a fishing boat captain, and everything goes wrong. He is lured, as one is, by Patricia Neal, but Phyllis Thaxter is his wife, and it's a guy trying very hard to do the right thing under impossible circumstances. Also an impressive performance from Juana Hernandez. It's a Michael Curtiz film, and it's great. It's terrific. As is Garfield's last film, He Ran All the Way, which came out the next year.
Okay. I have really different choices, you guys. My first choice is also on Netflix, and it is a TV series. I don't really watch a lot of TV, as you guys know, but sometimes the small person I live with is in charge of the remote, and he puts on...
I think your husband is a totally normal size.
He's actually very tall. He's 6'2".
Diminish him every time you say that.
Must you undercut him?
Yeah, Jesus.
My kid's hands are as big as mine already, and he's 8, so his little bitty hands, so his giant hands, to get the remote and put on the epic adventures of Captain Underpants. The epic tales of Captain Underpants. This is a TV series version of a movie I really loved last year. I thought Captain Underpants should have been nominated for an Oscar. And this, because it was written so sharply and the animation was so lively and varied. So this is a TV series continuation of George and Harold's adventures Each episode, they pull pranks and get into trouble. And as always, their principal, Mr. Krupp, their mean principal, whom they turn into Captain Underpants with their hypno ring, figures into it. It's a really great voice cast. It's kind of got this through line of narration from Sean Astin, which is reminiscent of what Ron Howard does with Arrested Development, where he is commenting kind of sardonically on the action. But it's got a cool mix of different kinds of animation. Besides what you saw there in the clip, they also have like stop motion clay animation and just some like really intentionally rough hewn puppets. And it is silly and light and playful. It premiered on Netflix, I wanna say last week. There are 13 episodes. Oh, we've seen all of them. More than once, but they're really fun. It's a really cute show, and I don't think you need to be a kid to enjoy it. So, Epic Tales of Captain Underpants.
I love the movie.
Right, exactly. Didn't we have fun?
Yes, I adore that movie. I can't believe it didn't do better at the box office and it didn't get Oscar love. I've not seen the series yet, but I'm going to.
Could a 5-year-old watch that movie?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this TV show, it's really silly.
And I'd like it too, right? I'm trying to desperately find a movie that I can do too.
No, it's a really great cast of like, serious voice work veterans like Tress MacNeille and John DiMaggio, who was the voice of Bender on Futurama, and who else? David Koechner and Lorraine Newman and Rob Riggle. Anyways, it's a great show. Yeah, it's a fun show. And then finally, my other pick is the film An Education, which just premiered on Netflix over the weekend. This is one of my favorite movies of 2009, and this is the movie that really introduced Carey Mulligan to the world, and it earned her an Academy Award nomination. She plays a 16-year-old in London in 1961, and she's kind of wise beyond her years, but still a girl. And she strikes up this kind of inappropriate relationship, friendship, whatever, with Peter Sarsgaard, who is in his 30s, who sees her potential and whisks her away to this life of glamour that she had always dreamed of. And they double date a lot with Rosamund Pike and Dominic Cooper. And there's this wonderful innate tension throughout the entire film because she's so happy, like she's just radiant and having the time of her life, but it's also thoroughly inappropriate that this much older man is into her, and you're wondering throughout what his true intentions are. This cannot end well. How is it going to shake out? The clothes are spectacular. All the period dress is just beautiful. This is also a film that, at least for me, it's the first time I recognized Rosamund Pike. I don't recall seeing her in anything prior to this.
I think same here for me, yeah. That definitely kicked her off. And it was, is it Lona Scherfig's first film?
Lona Scherfig, I don't think it's her first film, but she directed it, and Nick Hornby wrote it.
Yes.
An unusual film for him to adapt somebody else's work, and it is beautiful and tense and heartbreaking, and I loved it. So Captain Underpants, An Education, and
Buddies,
Nanette.
and Nanette by Hannah Gadsby, and the
Breaking Point.
It's a wide variety of stuff this week.